Yeah.
So Capitol is just hearing weird buzzing. Does somebody want to turn the microphone on?
I'm on. Hi.
Courtney,
We're
can you
on.
hear us?
Courtney? Courtney, can you hear us?
She muted.
Yeah, she has her microphone
Stand up
Can we
and
send,
dance.
can we send set hand signals to you?
Oh, I left my phone in the car. I would have texted her.
Can we, can you hear us, Courtney?
Courtney, can you hear us?
Courtney? Courtney, can you hear us?
on. Why is that not?
She's muted, isn't she?
She muted,
I
yeah.
don't,
Just can you
Yeah, her
call
little red thing is,
You call her.
yeah, but muted tells,
Put
she
a
can't
sign up.
speak to us, but she should be able to hear us one way or the other.
Let me call her, make sure.
Can you chat with her?
Just let me call
Because
her.
I'm muted. And I don't think I am.
Can we put a page up like that?
Stand up and dance.
Well, I just texted her, no, just weird buzzing. That's all she can hear.
Oh, that's all she can hear? You
Yep.
just talked to her?
She's texting me.
Weird buzzing.
Hey, can you hear us? Just hears weird buzzing noises when someone talks. She already told you. So,
We're not buzzing.
how can we address, is that because of the microphone over here?
Well, it's going through fine on YouTube. It is a Zoom problem.
It's a Zoom problem. Okay.
I hate technology. I would like to say that for the record.
So how do we handle
Because
this?
it's every meeting, we have some kind
Yeah,
of
we do.
problem.
So how do we handle this?
She can stay on the phone.
Stay on the
right?
phone.
Tell her to go to YouTube.
Yeah, but we can't talk
but
to her
she
on
won't be
YouTube.
That's right.
She
Well,
can't
she'll have
vote.
to text.
So, is there something I need
Can
to
we do a
change?
conference call on the phone over there?
Yeah, can we do a conference call on the phone with you? Okay, we'll get Simon over here.
Dan will be the,
And I'll have Courtney, or excuse me, Penny, call you. Or we'll call you through that and we'll get you on. Okay. It's every meeting for years. It's not
It's
like,
every meeting there's something that,
it's always, it was
the
before we even got the new
plain
technology,
word,
it was.
It's just always
Yeah.
something.
I don't know how to use it though.
just call her.
Call on this one?
I think you just dial it like.
Dial it and
And you need her number.
put it on
correct?
speaker.
Okay, here, I'll show it to you.
I'll get it too.
Worked good last
My
week when I
phone
was
is-
home.
Yeah, it worked well. We heard, what's his
Yeah.
name very
Right
well.
here. Do you see that?
No. The guy who, Sally, Mr. Sally, who's doing the, helping
Yeah.
with the taxes stuff. We heard him well.
Yeah, he's,
Stop. Be good or I'll
There
start
she is.
flying.
Can you hear us?
Stoke the fire.
All right. Yeah, we can hear you.
You can hear all of us, everybody can hear Courtney on this?
Can hear you. Got
Okay,
it.
perfect. I will, then, with that going, I will open the Monday, July 24th, 2023 council meeting. A roll call.
We're hearing it somewhere. Is it coming here? Is it in your phone? Is it in the computer?
We have echoes.
Your sound is off, right?
Or as I know, my sound is on. Speaker is muted.
Well, if we're not gonna listen to her that way, I'll shut off the speaker.
Well, what I'm saying is like I can hear it on a delay.
It's coming through the ceiling.
Why are you taking that away?
Because I need to get in there to shut the
Oh.
speaker.
Okay.
I'll put it back.
Well, no. She's saying she's gonna shut off the
Technical
speaker and she's
difficulties
taking the
here,
phone
always.
and saying, you're taking the problem away. I move that we abolish all technology from
I can't
council
talk to you,
meetings.
but I think you'd know what mine is. I just.
Courtney, you still there?
I'm here.
Perfect. We just said we're moving around. So roll call. All counselors are present, and Deputy Mayor Bowen is joining us via Zoom phone. Invocation to an inspirational thought. If everybody could please be in the attitude of prayer. We pray for our country at all times, that all citizens are safe, healthy, and happy. We pray for wisdom for all those who guide and govern. Help this government body in every situation to know and to do the things that are right and just with soundness of judgment in making vital decisions. We pray for the peacemakers, that the holy life-giving spirit may ever dwell in their hearts, and the barriers of fear, suspicion, and hatred may fall. This we pray to the Holy Father. Amen.
Amen.
Everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 4, public forum. Danielle, do you have anything for us? Does anybody from the audience have anything they'd like to bring forward for public forum at this time? Okay. Item number 5, we have the minutes. We don't have minutes.
No minutes.
Nope, we don't have minutes, excuse me. Bid openings, awards, and appointments. We have some bids for work at the Nilander Museum of Natural History. You could bring that up on screen for us.
So I thought Dave was gonna be here, but, so there's an error in the memo. So we did not open bids until Friday afternoon at 2:00. And we couldn't read and I think actually his bid is in here so you can see. We couldn't tell whether it was a 4 or a 9, and apparently it was a 4. And we thought it was probably a 9 because that was closer to the other bid. So it's actually 4,875.
So not 9,800.
Correct, yep,
Okay,
correct.
yeah, and I did see that in the
Yep.
adjustments.
So,
Did they bid just the power washing piece of the partial
no,
list?
and that was something that we asked too, because it was so far different, and Dave talked to the person after just to double check that was for the full list that went out.
Do they have any experience doing that other work?
I wasn't there at the mandatory pre-bid meeting.
Oh, okay. What happens at that pre-bid meeting? Because what was published was like a partial list. And so at the pre-bid meeting, did you go through that partial list and pick out the things that you really want them to do? Or is this list what was actually put out for bid? Why was it called a partial list?
I'm not sure why it was called a partial list when it went out. When they went to the museum, the only thing that they changed was when they started looking at the roof, there needed to be some flashing around the chimney fixed, and so they added that to the list. And they had 3 people that came to the pre-bid meeting, but only 2 bid.
And all this work on page 3, they were aware of.
Yes.
That's what-
Yeah.
I think that's what Dan's question
Have they both committed to doing the work that's laid out here? Because I don't
Correct.
see any kind of a contract or anything.
We don't think contract's been awarded yet because the bid
Yeah,
hasn't
you
been
have to
awarded.
award the bid first.
So we have to agree on a price before we write a contract?
Yes, this was the bids for the work that was discussed. It was on the list, but also discussed when they had their mandatory pre-bid meeting, which it is my understanding that the only thing that was added was that flashing.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think they agreed that on the roof, the whole roof didn't need to be pressure washed. It was just one section.
They're going to pressure wash the roof?
They're going to do some kind of
Okay.
They're going to do some kind of cleaning of the roof. Is it
Okay.
pressure washing? I don't know. I
Probably
wasn't
not.
there. I was not there.
It's asphalt shingles.
And,
Will there be is there an estimated start and completion date?
so, it's my understanding that when Dave met with them, he said that he gave them a date that it had to be done, which I believe was in October. And he also wanted to make sure that when they started, they stayed and finished, instead of like a day here, a day there.
That's why I ask.
Yeah.
Thank-
But
thank you.
that was.
I'm experiencing
yeah.
that right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that it's just, they stick with it and get it done.
Whenever they come, they show up.
Yes,
do it.
and get it done,
And leave.
and that's it.
Like in October, I think I heard.
Well, it has to be done, and I think that what Dave told me was October.
So what we're approving tonight is just simply the award of the bid
Correct.
for a price,
Mhm.
and then a contract will be written up to lay out all these things.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the bid from Rustic Power Washing LLC for $48.75 to do the work at the Nylander Museum.
Second?
Motion and a second. Is there discussion on this?
They don't appear to have any experience in this, and their price is way too low. It's unrealistic, and I don't think that they can be trusted to do this work. So I don't support them.
Any other discussion? Bagley?
No?
Palma?
Aye.
Let's see, Gone?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Terrell?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. So we'll go to our next order of business, which is an application for malt liquor, wine, and spirit sales for R.J. Rosignol LLC, doing business as Bouchard Grill. And if this is a new application, that's the reason it's coming to the council, correct? Because several years ago, we decided that we didn't, renewals and everything didn't have to come to us, so this is just a
New owners.
new owner, so it's a new license, so it has to come before us. And I believe this has probably been approved by both chiefs. And Co. Chair will entertain a motion.
So, Mr.
you
Mayor,
have to-
Mr. Mayor,
have
point of order, I
Yes.
think this should be a public hearing,
Yeah.
that's as it appears on the agenda. Did you want to?
Excuse me.
open up the
Is there a
public hearing
public
first?
application? Oh, do I have to do it? Oh, my mistake. I will open a public hearing for the application of malt liquor, wine, and spirit sales for R.J. Rosignol LLC, DBA Bouchard's Grill. I will open the public hearing at 6:15. Thank you, Dan, for...
Sure.
Does anybody have anything they'd like to say regarding this on the public hearing? We're gonna give it at least a minute here, don't we?
Yeah.
We'll close the public hearing at 6:16.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we set the liquor license for R.J. Rosno LLC, DBA Bouchard's Grill, for the new business and the new owners.
Second.
Discussion. Bagley?
Aye.
Boma?
Aye.
Gone?
Aye.
Terrell?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Good luck.
So,
Relax, it's cool, relax.
So now we have the dangerous building public hearing, 7 Warner Street, map 31, lot 171.
Do you folks want to say anything or anything?
Sure.
Sure.
You'd like to say something here? Go ahead.
You
please.
go to the, so people at home can hear you.
This is free advertisement here.
Yeah.
We have the newspaper here, we can run on TV.
I'm gonna meet with her this week too.
Yeah.
I'm Ray Rosignol, we live in Woodland, and my husband and I, John, are the new owners of Bouchard's Grill. John is Richie's first cousin, so we thought it'd be a great idea to try to keep it in the family. Everyone keeps asking us what we're gonna change, we're not. It's staying Bouchard's Grill, we're keeping the salad bar, we're keeping the scallops. I think that's pretty much
The
Yeah,
clams.
and the clams, we're
Okay.
keeping the clams.
Good, that's a good thing, too.
We are opening tomorrow at 10:30, finally.
Good luck.
So, thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck, absolutely, new business.
And we are talking about maybe starting a hot bar for breakfast on Saturdays.
Oh, fun.
So,
Yeah.
we didn't want to compete with Par and Grill, so we keep ours on Saturday. So,
Sounds good.
Cool.
see everybody then.
Yes.
Good luck.
Good luck, thank you.
Thank you.
Put them on the list for facade improvement.
Put them on the list
Yeah.
for what?
Yeah.
Oh,
Facade- Facade improvement.
They have a good sign.
They have a
in there,
good
but,
sign,
yeah.
So we can, now we got 7B, I got dangerous building, public hearing, 7 Water Street, map 31, lot 171. There was a hearing on June 26th. A notice was served to the owner of 7 Water Street, Brian and Sharon Bickford, that there will be a public hearing at the meeting tonight. We'll open the public hearing at 6:17 PM. Does anybody from council have anything they'd like to bring up on this? Does anybody from the audience have anything they would like to? Due to some information, I think that the councilors received in our packet earlier or by email today, I am not going to close the public hearing, but I am going to recess the public hearing until our next meeting, August 28th. On 7C, dangerous building, public hearing, 24 Park Street, map 35, lot 73, which is on page 13 of 14 in our packet.
11.
Oh, 11 and 12, excuse me. There was a public hearing on June 26th, and notice was served to the owner of 24 Park Street, Lori Mueller, that there was a public hearing at the meeting tonight. On July 19th, 2023, a letter was received from Alan Nefarding, who is representing Lori, asking that the public hearing be recessed until additional information about the property can be gathered from a contractor and real estate agent. Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor, did you mean to recess the public hearing for this one as opposed to the one that you just recessed? And didn't that require a vote of the council?
No, I do not believe so. Do we need to require a vote to recess the hearing?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't have any problem with it, but I
Yeah.
think you recessed the wrong one.
I think
No,
so
I'm
too.
gonna-
No, we're gonna
recess
recess
both.
both.
Recess both.
You're going to recess both?
Both, because
Okay.
there's some information
New
that we don't have in the
information on
packet on the
both,
first one.
but
Did you get the
you haven't
information
opened
she
the
sent us
second
earlier?
one yet.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
You've got to open this first.
I don't think I received.
I opened this, did I open this public hearing?
The
No, I
Park
haven't, I
Street.
read it. I have not opened this public hearing yet.
Okay, sorry.
Okay,
So the other recess was correct,
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So then I was just reading what was here.
I just don't know why.
Did you get the email that I sent today from Rick Solomon? It was like this afternoon. I probably
didn't.
sent it.
It must have been late, yeah.
Well, it
There
was,
was some
I
late.
think I
Haven't
sent
read
it
it.
around
That's fine, that's
noontime.
fine. That's
Yeah.
fine.
That's the reason for the recess, so.
No problem.
And, okay, so I read this, and I will open the public hearing for dangerous building, public hearing 24 Park Street, 35 lot 73 at 6:20. The hearing is open.
I just have a quick question.
Yes, correct.
When was Miss Mueller served originally? I know we got it in the last packet, but hasn't it been months?
No, we had to serve her after we had our meeting the last time with her official notice of tonight's meeting. And so that was served after the last meeting. like
Correct,
within
but
the-
we had already served her a notice that the building was dangerous
Correct.
quite a
Yeah.
while ago.
Correct.
So why are they just now trying to get information?
Because she was under the impression that because she was going under bankruptcy, that she no longer owned the house.
Oh, and then
So
they
she was
dropped
kind
it.
of like ignoring
Okay.
things. But then, so we sent the, she was officially served by sheriff. But I also followed that up with a letter,
Okay,
a regular
yeah.
letter that said, this is the process that's going on. But also, just so you know, your mortgage company has discharged your lien. You actually own this house.
Whether you
You
want to
have
or
no
not.
liens, like, there's not, the taxes are paid up, there's not
Yeah.
a sewer lien on the property, and there's not a
Everything's
mortgage
paid.
on the property. So apparently this was all new information to her, so when she opened that letter, and then I'm sure she probably stewed on it for a while, and then made an appointment with an attorney, saw the attorney, and the attorney reached out to us. I mean, I'm supposing that's what happened. I mean, I know what I sent, I know I got a call from the attorney,
It
and
just-
I'm assuming in between, and she probably wanted to check with the attorney that what I was saying was correct, and so he probably had to have someone in his office go online to the registry and double check what I told her, which was,
Because they didn't believe you.
well, I mean, it is kind of incredible. Like, if you got a letter from me that says your mortgage is paid, your taxes are paid, and here's your house, like, wouldn't you think that's kind of crazy?
It is.
So, I mean,
Get that
I would think it was, you know, I would be suspicious of that too, if I got a letter from somebody that said that.
Here's your
But I'm
sign.
just concerned it takes
Here's your
so
sign.
long.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So what is the purpose of delaying this? What is it? I read the lawyer's letter that they're going to engage a real estate and all that, but that doesn't change the process. She's been served. She needs to take action, whether they're looking at a real estate person or not.
It sounded to me from the phone call that she's trying to determine what her next step is going to be. Is she going to try to fix the house? Will she, instead of having the city do something, will she try to have someone tear it down and then sell the lot? I think that, I'm just supposing, but it sounds like she hasn't given this any thought until she got the letter that says that she owns this, there's not a mortgage, and then suddenly it was, oh, well, maybe instead of having, you know, the town do it, maybe I do need to do something.
I kind of would repeat what Councilor Willie said. I mean, we've been doing this for months and months and
I
months.
agree, but I think.
And now a lawyer's involved asking us to stop the process while they go off and try to solve a problem that should have been solved months ago.
My biggest problem is running into the same issues we're running into another piece of dangerous property we have here in town,
Something
which this process has been going on for quite some time, which, that's the process, but this case here, and there's nothing that says if we continue with our actions, that she can still continue with her own actions, so.
Well, I'm just worried, especially on that one, because there are children in that neighborhood.
Oh.
And who's going to be liable? Obviously, she will now, but the longer she waits, the longer there's an opportunity for a child to fall into that open basement and hurt themselves.
Mr. Mayor, are we in a public hearing right now, or are we in just?
We're
We're still in the
public
public hearing.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anybody in the audience that wanted to speak to.
Does anybody in the audience want to speak regarding this public hearing that we have open on 24 Park Street, correct?
Jody?
Please come up to the microphone, sir. State your name and your address and say what's on your mind.
Just Mark Lures, 16 McKinley Street. I've been by that building, and it's a beautiful building, and I'm wondering if the city, if we have a housing crisis, I own my own home, but we have a housing crisis, apparently, in Maine. Is there any way that the town could, instead of tearing, it's a beautiful house, 4 or 5 bedrooms, and I walked up there and looked around. Is there any way that the town could, it would be a beautiful little spot for something, and to take that building down, where are we going to get the money with the tax base the way it is? And I think we're going to get in a jam with the way the taxes have been raised, apparently. Mine went up 40%, and I'm wondering, looking forward, and I'm no expert on real estate, but our family did own real estate, and I didn't as well. Looking forward, I think it's going to be a problem when we start tearing buildings down. Does anybody have any thoughts on that, as far as how that works out? The money how much does it cost to tear down? It's a 3-bedroom house, like an acre. I'm just kind of curious about that.
Some of the, I'll just touch on that a little bit, I don't want to get into a little conversation on this with you, but if I'm correct, the biggest expense when we tear down homes, that's
Disposal.
is the abatement.
Well, we have to have
We have to have
anything,
abatement.
right, have things tested,
And that can
and
be quite
then
costly.
we go out for bid for the demo, and it has to be hauled off
Mhm.
to the landfill. There's a cost with that too. And then we send the bill to the owner. If they don't pay it, then it becomes a special tax at the next commitment. And we have done that before, and typically we end up with the property.
Anybody else from council or the audience wish to speak at this public hearing? I will not close the public hearing. I will recess the public hearing until August.
Well, again, I
28.
think, Mr. Mayor, I think it requires a city council vote to recess it, as stated in the agenda here, page 11.
I have to agree with Councilor Bagley. I don't see the necessity to recess it or postpone it. I think that we can still continue our actions to consider this building a dangerous piece of property and continue the process, go that way, just in the event that something happens. And again, I'm referring back to the issues we're going on with another piece of property we're dealing with. I'd like to ask for a council vote whether we recess this agenda item or not.
We're still in the public hearing.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
is the action?
I would consider this building to
Consider
be considered a dangerous property.
Haven't we already done
24 Park Street?
that? Yeah, I thought we had already dangerous it. I thought this
So-
was the meeting to
Yeah,
take it
we
into
did.
our,
Is that what we're doing right now?
So what we would do is we would come up with the findings in order, which I have like a sample in your packet. So based on the findings of this public hearing, then I would draft a findings in order for you to adopt at the next meeting. And then she would have a time period to correct those things.
I'm thinking that we're waiting a month here to do this, and the liability is on her. She still owns that property, so the liability will not be on the city if anybody was injured there. Also, we're going to incur more court costs, more attorney costs, while we wait for everything. We know the process is, you know how I feel about the judicial process, but I think that it wouldn't hurt to wait for one more month and see if she can find a realtor. She might find a buyer, and then that buyer would fix that house and go back on the tax rolls and the way it should, and I don't see a problem waiting until the 28th, and then if it doesn't go the way it should, we can take action then.
I think the question is whether council needs to vote to recess the hearing.
Well,
That's the question.
I mean, I didn't know you were going to do that, to
Right,
look
yeah.
it up.
Well, that's the question.
And I don't walk around with like all that knowledge in my
Well,
head.
then I'll,
But we can try to Google it. I mean, that's what I do in my real life when I need to know something, is, Google it.
Well, the reason I brought it up, it's under the suggested action. If acceptable, please make a motion to recess the public hearing. So that's why I got the impression that a vote was required.
okay.
What are you saying, Danielle? Okay.
Courtney, are you there?
Hi. So I guess just to clarify though, if we were to move forward and vote on this evening, she would still have the opportunity to do what needs to be done, but by declaring it a dangerous building, anyone moving forward that were to purchase that property would also be aware that it's a dangerous building and that and we have something in place for that, correct?
I have to say agree. I'd have to agree.
Yeah, she owns the building. I mean, so this
She
is her
owns it.
property. The
Right.
city doesn't own this property.
Right.
No. We're just putting her on notice that she's got to fix it up, clean it up, or whatever.
And
And
that's- that's the next step in our process.
Right,
Is the
right.
findings in order.
Right.
So I say let's move ahead with that. Do not recess the public hearing. End the public hearing, move on to the next step.
Yeah.
Whatever additional information the attorney has that can be provided, that shouldn't stop our process.
Okay,
This is just a legal maneuver to keep it, to
Right.
put it off another month,
Right.
month and a half, 2 months.
So this Robert's Rules for Dummies is telling me that, let's see.
Oh, that's right.
You can't interrupt a speaker, I guess it says, and, must be seconded, isn't debatable, it's amendable, you must have a majority vote
To,
recess.
to recess.
thank you. So
That
then
is
we're
our
gonna- we're
answer.
gonna- Then we're gonna have to go back after this.
And
Right,
recess.
and
the
do
first-
it, do it for the,
Okay, yeah, we can do
Water
that.
Street,
Okay, that's
okay?
fine. Thank you for researching that. So, I still have the public hearing open.
Mhm.
So,
More
again, we
discussion.
can't make a motion during the public hearing, so we have to
No,
close
no,
the
I just
public-
wanted to see if there's any more discussion during this public hearing. Public hearing is closed at 6:30. The
Or
second one.
1 Park
24
Street.
Park Street.
24.
No, I'll go back to the first one.
Well-
Because we understand that it requires a vote whether we want to recess or not. This is up to council to make a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we recess the public hearing until August 28th on 24 Park Street.
That was just closed.
I just closed the public
We're
hearing.
making a vote now
She
to
has made a
recess
motion.
outside of the public hearing.
There's a,
You
To
can't
do-
do it within public
To
hearing.
recess.
So,
This is getting very confusing
Yeah, I'm
because
confused.
we just closed a public hearing that we're now
we
voting to
recessed.
recess. No, he just
Oh,
closed
no, we
it.
that's
closed
true,
the
so you're right.
It's closed,
And now I made a motion to recess
the previous one.
Nope, this one.
24 Park, and then we're going to go back to the previous one.
Again, the public hearing's already closed.
So now-
Make a motion to recess the public hearing.
Yeah, you can't,
It says, open the public hearing and hear any comments.
we did.
If accessible, make a motion to recess the public hearing until August
So it
28th.
should have happened before he closed, even though you can't vote during a public hearing.
Okay, so we'll open it back up.
Are you having fun yet?
what
I
was
feel
it?
like we're getting into semantics here. about that.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we consider the property at 24 Park Street a dangerous building and continue with the process that abdicates that.
I second the motion.
Do we have discussion on this? Bagley,
Aye.
Boma,
Aye.
Gone,
No.
Morrow,
Aye.
Terrio,
No,
Willie,
Aye.
no. Motion passes, correct?
passes, yeah.
Now, with that,
They can still do what they want to do.
Right.
so we can go
And-
back to the...
Water Street.
So we gotta go back to the
sorry.
Water Street?
Yep.
Correct?
Yep,
So I'm gonna go back to Water Street, so I will,
That's recessed.
that was recessed.
Yeah.
Without a vote,
Without a
Right.
vote.
Improperly.
Okay. Improperly, correct.
so we can consider that still open if you'd like.
Yep, let's do that.
That public hearing is still open regarding Water Street, and I appreciate everybody here being...
Work through it.
We're working
Yeah,
through
work-
this, and we do it correctly,
The
so...
attorneys got
we don't wanna-
involved in this as well.
Especially when we,
The minute you
and
put
I
an
know
attorney in, it all
Danny, we
goes
want to make
back.
sure that when we move forward, that... our
So are you going to
process-
continue the public hearing, or are you
I'm
going
going
to
to
close
continue the
it?
public hearing. Oh, does anybody want to speak any more on this public hearing? Then I'll close it.
This is the one on,
Water
Water
Street.
Street, correct.
Okay.
Which we discussed.
So, Mr. Mayor, can you share whatever additional information that you received that would prompt us
right.
to want to
So
recess
here's
this?
the email from Rick Solomon, it's right here. I sent it to everybody today. So it looks like I received it at 12:37, so I forwarded it to everyone after I received it, which says that Attorney Legere, who's working with the Bickfords, wants to know if the town would accept a deed to the real estate in lieu of cleanup costs. I understand the hearing is tonight.
So they give us the deed to the property, so we have to clean it up.
Correct, but you're gonna clean it up
Anyway.
either way. And then you'll end up, they're not gonna pay the taxes. There's 2-year back taxes due, so that means the town will acquire it. Unless they waive foreclosure, we'll acquire it in November. But then with our process, you wouldn't be able to put it out for anyone to purchase until like the spring. But if they deed the property to you, then you could, if someone wanted to take it over before then, you don't have to go through the tax acquired process. You just go through, any other process in the ordinance about disposing of city property.
There
Because
might
it
be-
won't be tax acquired.
Yeah, there may be other interest in
And
the
there,
property.
then maybe someone else would be
Interest
interested
in the property,
in the
which
property.
we don't want to bring up at this time, but names, but.
So what would be the purpose of recessing the public hearing? We can have our public hearing, close it, and then whatever happens, happens, and we'll deal with it.
Well, you can.
Okay.
Any more discussion in the public hearing? We're going to close the public hearing at 6:37. Public hearing on
7.
number
7 Water
7.
Street.
Close at 6:37. What are the wishes of the council?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we deem the property at 7 Water Street a dangerous building, continue the process in order to eliminate that situation.
Second. Discussion. Bagley,
No.
Boma,
No.
Gahn,
No.
Morrow,
Aye.
Terrio,
No.
Willie,
No.
aye. So it's not a dangerous building. Motion carries.
Well, it is a dangerous building.
Already did that.
So the motion was,
This motion was. to-
Reaffirm that it's a dangerous building.
Right,
we're through that.
we're through it.
Okay. We get the charter amendment, public hearing, ordinance 3, charter
Oh,
amendment.
sounds
just-
good.
What's that?
I'm not sure at this point, and I'll get back to you.
So where are we at on that? On that one?
I don't know. I'll have to figure it out and let everybody know where we are on that one. I don't know.
Where, what are we talking about now?
On the 7 Water Street.
We're still on that?
Well, I'm just where we're at on it after where it leaves us at.
So we'll wait to see, has an offer been tendered like officially, or are they
No.
just talking?
I got
We're
that
just talking.
email today at 12:37.
So it's not an official offer?
Right.
So it's
So-
still in discussions?
Mhm.
So put it on the agenda for next time, and with whatever new information we have, then maybe we can proceed from there.
7D, we have a charter amendment, public hearing, ordinance 3, 2023 charter amendment, as an ordinance to amend the capital improvement referendum process. I will open the public hearing at 6:40. And that is on 13 of 14 in our packet. Anybody from council wishes, I'll start with council. Anybody from council wishes to speak on behalf of this? Anybody from the
Oh, right.
audience? Oh, excuse me, Mark, let's start with Mark. I think.
My opinion on this particular case is not so much dealing with a majority of the votes that show up, or my concern is that when you go and you start to spend over $500,000, and then that vote is put in front of the people during the June election, when nobody's used to voting. It's a lot of money. Whatever the plan was to spend that kind of money, could very easily wait until November. Like I say, whether or not 65% of of the, how it's written out, I get it. But I looked at it as a way of, we've got to make sure that we put these kind of votes out in November when people are used to voting. And so, and the 65% did that. If you're gonna plan to get 65%, you've gotta go in November, because we all know June, or when they do the elections for primaries and stuff like that, you just don't get that many people. It's a shame. And we can all say, well, whose fault's that? I get it. But we'll complain about people. No, we are concerned when people don't come to the school vote in June, and yet here we are getting ready to open up the door that way. So, I don't know what the answer would be to figure this all out and put something in there like that, but $500,000 is a lot of money. And we ought to go the extra mile to make sure that we have the representation of the people of Caribou there. So, thanks.
Courtney and I.
I'll go with you next, Lou.
I would, without committing anything, I would have no problem, writing something in there that it be a November election piece. The problem with even November and the 65% is that we don't ever get 65% of all registered voters. I think Danielle said it's happened twice. So with that in mind, no matter what we brought, anything over 500,000 would be dead in the water. We wouldn't be able to do anything in the city because our hands would be tied. We'd have to go rope people in from the street and say, are you registered? You got to come in and vote, go grab warm bodies. 65% doesn't work. It should be majority. Again, that wasn't in here originally, fall versus spring. I'd have no problem with, determining that. But the 65%, as far as I'm concerned, just wasn't reasonable. It would tie our hands, and I think I said that before it went through the first time. Plus, the people afterwards, over and over, I had so many people call and say, why didn't you explain this? We didn't know what this meant. So we just voted for it because the council voted for it. So with that in mind, that's what kind of pushed us to bring it back, because a lot of people just said it didn't make any sense. So I'm done.
Courtney? We'll get Courtney next.
Well, Lou just said exactly what I was going to say. So, but my main point also was that even in November, we've never, I think, two times ever had 65% of registered voters turn out to vote. So it's kind of tough to have something like this stand and get a project done.
Joe?
And yes, I agree with everything Lou said. What we need to do is maybe some of the people still aren't quite clear as to what this 65% is. This is not a 65% majority of the votes voting yes. It is 65% of the voters in Caribou have to show up at the polls and vote on this particular item. And I think the two times that it happens has been since like 1960 or something like that. So that's how often that many people, they don't come in the numbers like that. I don't mind doing it in November. It makes sense. But you have to understand that this is 65%, and I think we have, maybe 5,000, 5,200 voters in Caribou, so we need over 3,500 or something. They don't come out. And so this city would never get anything done as far as major projects if this stays this way. And so that's the reason for this. And I like Lou, had calls and people stopped me when they saw me and said, I thought that was the majority part of it. No, it's the attendance, it's the voter actually coming out and voting had to reach that number. So it only makes sense to put this back to where it was.
Thank you. Any other discussion from council or from the audience?
Just a quick clarification, Mr. Mayor, is that
Go ahead.
it's 65% of the registered, total registered voters in the city of Caribou that are on the registry list, which God only knows, okay? The registered voters, it's the
knows.
registered voters. I think that's the clarification.
How many are registered?
No.
So,
Doug,
Morale,
and
5.
then I'll get to you next.
okay.
Doug Morrell, 5 Sullivan Drive. First off, it was meant to control how this council spends. Now, we've seen in the past, and I have to admit my guilt in this, going to borrow money, which is equally as important as spending over $500,000, or leasing fire trucks or ambulances, all the same. Decisions should be made by those who pay the bills. The council is given $500,000 authority. It's pretty clear for everyone here that sat here tonight and talked about people calling and their phones ringing off. I equally had as many saying it's about time. It's not that it's undoable, it's the fact that we, including myself, if I'm on the council, wants to exceed the authority the good people gave to us, I have to get up and sell that project. That's point blank. You do it in business. So for anybody to sit back to think they're all knowledgeable and higher authority than the people that gave you the 500,000, and the fact that there was some trickery or miswording or misunderstanding, hell, we could go back and talk about the police station on that. And I didn't hear anybody bringing up the police station tonight to go back out to vote. Same thing applies, because a few on that council means they gotta get up and get out and sell it to the people. Again, the ones who pay the bills. It's not an issue. For as many as anybody on that council can bring in here to say they were confused, I can bring equally as many that said it's about time, and that's just me. I think it's a little BS happening here. I think it's to skirt your responsibility. You have a responsibility to the people. They've already spoken. It would be equally if I came here and said, you know, I can bring in 50 people that didn't like the police station vote. The people have spoken. But if you on the council feel they're a little smarter than the average taxpayer out here when they voted to pass this, you haven't even tried it. What it does mean is you have to get up off your you-know-what and get out and sell the project. Educate the people before you spend their money and let it go to vote. Thank you.
Dan? you had-
So here's kind of my concern with this whole thing. And it echoes what Doug just mentioned. A significant percentage of the voters voted for this. Now, I mean, the argument's been made that some people didn't understand it and thought it was 65%, majority as opposed to 65% turnout.
Registered voters.
That may be true. There may have been some, but I mean, I give the voters more credit than that. I think most people read and understood correctly what they were voting on, and they passed it. And so I'm conflicted with that because the voters did want it, and it was passed, I think I remember it was like 58 to 42 or something along those lines. Does anybody have the stats on that? So,
Dan,
Yeah.
continue.
yeah, well, let me finish my thought, and then you can argue with me here. But given all of that, I agree the 65% is too high. 65% of voter turnout is too high. We've not achieved it but once in 13 years. And so this change, as proposed, removes any controls. And that basically takes away the controls and the accountability and the additional voter voice in big expenditures that they demanded and they voted for. So, in my opinion, if this thing goes forward as written to zero out any constraint whatsoever or any control, I don't think it's going to fail. I don't think it's going to pass. Councilor Willie, I will
it
take your
doesn't-
question. You look like you're...
It doesn't do
I'm
that
not
for
done,
us.
but...
No, I'll let Dan continue.
So I was just gonna say, so the 65% threshold is too high, but taking it down to 0 puts us back to where we started, and it basically undoes something that the voters have already voted for. So maybe there's a halfway point where we can move that threshold to 45%. And if you look across the voter records, 45%, we get it every November. So that's one option. The other option would be to say anything over 500,000 would need to be a super majority vote of 65% or 66% of the voters, if you wanted to do it that way. But again, I think if we go forward to a referendum, taking away all of the constraints that were previously passed, I think it will fail. And we'll be stuck with the 65%. So I'm urging council to consider backing off that by setting a lower threshold or making it a supermajority vote requirement. Thank you. Now I'm done.
Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to Lou.
Well, first of all, this was approved with less than 65% of the vote, because we didn't have 65% of the vote when it went through. So what you were saying that, and even Mr. Morrell, everything over 500,000 or 500,000 up has to be brought to the voters. So that's our parameter right there. And so anything above that, again, I would have no issue with putting in what Councillor Gahn had mentioned, you know, signifying that it'd have to be a fall vote, which I have no issue with that. I don't know the supermajority. I don't know what else you want. This, with what was struck out, this was the original charter information. This is what's been on the charter since the charter went through years ago. So there is a checks and balances. It just doesn't have a percentage. It's majority rules. So you come, you vote, and if it passes, we can build it. And the thing is, what really upsets me is that, you know, Doug said we didn't mention the police station. If this had been in place for the few number of people who voted on the police station total, it wouldn't have passed. So again, it ties the hands of the work we have been elected to do. So
No, it doesn't tie the hands.
Hold on, are you
I'm
finished?
done, yeah.
All right, finish. Go
It
ahead.
doesn't tie your hands. You have $500,000. And a lot of people would argue, including when I sat there, whether we spent it properly or not. You have $500,000. Don't get greedy, that's plenty. It doesn't affect your budget
the police
operations.
station.
These are frivolous things beyond the budget that we want to spend on, and they should only be decided by the people. And the majority is, the reason that was there, and I was part of the development of that, was so no special interest from what I call my side of the aisle as a conservative, or the other side of the aisle that likes to piss money away. No one can have a majority and override it the way it's been done in the past, in my opinion. So you have $500,000. $500,000.
Won't build a building.
Of course not. You shouldn't be trying to build a building. We got too much on our hands now without the people's permission. Thanks.
The public hearing is still open on this.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, John.
so after listening to the significant discussion here, I almost see two different sides here. First up, I agree that $500,000 is a lot of money, and that spending more than $500,000 should go to a vote of the people. Okay? That's
We
a
all
good-
agree.
Okay, we all agree, that's not a problem. Now, the problem is, okay, I think is that, okay, majority rules, and no matter which facet of government, when I got elected as a city councilor, I got elected because the majority elected me to that position. When this is a funny story, because it just dawned on me, when I was going through my initial council gizmo thing, or whatever you call it there, the interview, okay, where there were 7 of us who were sitting here, and that question came up, and I didn't understand it. And I said, 65%? Yeah, I said 65% of the majority vote? No problem. I didn't understand. It was 65% of the registered voters in the city of Caribou. The registered voters list, and correct me, Daniel, if I'm wrong, and it's not pointing finger at anybody, can be still comprised of people who are deceased or who don't even live in the neighborhood anymore. So that's a very big issue, and that's a true, it's in any community, whatever. So I agree, okay, of allowing, spending no more than $500,000, but with a majority vote, period, okay, of the majority public. And yes, it's up to us to sell a project. Okay, if I gotta go out, I gotta sell a project to Kimber and his wife here, hey, we gotta buy a fire truck here, okay, and this is what it's gonna cost, okay? But then they have the decision to go and to say yes or no. But I personally believe that $500,000 is a lot of money, set the limit, but it's done by a majority vote. This 65, and again, it's only because the registered, and I think it's the point everybody's missing here, and they're not saying that, it's registered voters, okay? And the voter list, I mean, it's like every other community around. They're updated, but not updated on a regular basis, and I mean, I'd like to know how many registered voters are on our registered voters list right now. I mean, that's just curious, okay? You don't have to tell, whatever, but, and I think that's the point. The issue with this was to control spending, okay? The control of spending by this table right here. Fine, no big deal, okay? And I agree with that. But to set a parameter that is unreachable, okay, in the event something good had to happen, okay, it's unthinkable. So that's my opinion, and that's how I will vote accordingly. But keep the limit $500,000, November ballot, which is, there's no doubt, November, because we'll go back to the school department thing. I went and voted for the school department budget, okay, and there was probably 35 people. What the whole total vote was 150 people that went there, okay, and it was crazy. So not to point fingers, okay, whatever, but
So what you're saying is majority rules.
majority rules.
Majority already ruled when they placed the vote on that.
This isn't a discussion at this
Well,
point between
I-
two
It's
people.
already been placed.
Well,
Majority.
we're still in the public hearing.
So, whatever, I mean, I just think that majority, but people, I don't necessarily think really understood it clearly. And I think that's the problem we have to say to, so, let me put it to you this way. Okay, so we put this on the November ballot, okay, this is what we're changing, okay, and then let it go, let it fly, okay? And if it passes, it passes, it don't, if it stays at 65% of the registered voters in the city of Caribou, then so be it.
So we now have to put things out twice to please certain people on the council. The public has already spoken.
Can you please come up to?
Well, whatever. I think that it's a very, I've had people talk to me about it too, but whatever. I think that we can go back and forth about this all
Now,
night.
I can see the way it's going, but I'm not
Yeah.
gonna let you walk there without an argument tonight.
That's fine,
Gonna be some discussion.
that's fine.
I can smell the way this is going, and that's fine.
It's fine.
The voters will vote.
Well,
But when we get there, is majority gonna rule then? Because it didn't work this trip. Is it gonna work that trip?
I don't know.
Any other discussion? I'm going to go through council.
Deputy Mayor Boma had her hand.
Deputy Mayor Boma, please.
Well, the only thing I would say is that, and I hear what Mr. Morell is saying, but this is an amendment hearing. So the charter was amended, it can be amended again, and I think that that's the point that's being missed. Lots of things are amended several times over the course of history.
I'll just repeat that if it passes, if this goes to referendum, I predict it will fail because we're basically poking the voter in the eye saying, your vote last time didn't count. We want you to vote again. And I think it's going to fail.
Then it fails.
To bring it back.
Then it fails.
And I'm just suggesting maybe lighten up on the control and improve your chances of passing something.
Any more discussion on this? So let's go down through council again here. Public.
Done.
I will close the public hearing at 7 p.m.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to put the charter amendment on the November 7th ballot.
Second.
Seconded. Discussion.
Could we amend your motion to include a November, to include that? in?
Yes, okay, good with that.
Wait a minute, what was
This would
this?
be November.
So
My
my motion
amendment
would be to put it on the December 7th ballot, but that any capital improvement cost exceeding $500,000, okay, would be approved by the voters on the November ballot.
Right. Second.
Would the counselor be willing to consider an amendment to that, to, instead of specifying a November ballot, just specify a 45% turnout, because we always get that in
No.
November.
No.
That gets-
No. No,
I would not.
No.
no, sorry.
I won't amend, I won't agree to that
That's
either.
fine.
And I don't agree to
It's
the
too-
fact of making,
too
this is
complicated.
November 7th anyway,
Yeah,
right? Correct?
Right, yes.
We don't have to do that.
Right.
Correct?
Correct,
We're not making everything going on the November 7th ballot
right.
from now on. I mean,
No,
this-
no, no,
this one is con-
just this.
This one.
No, but then I want, from now on, okay, if this by chance passes, that any expenditures that exceed $500,000 will be approved by the voters by majority vote, okay, of the public, okay, on the November ballot.
Can't be done in June.
Can't be done in
Must be
June.
done in June.
Must be done in
Must be
November.
For anything over 500.
Correct.
Got it, thanks.
I'm fine with that.
Here's
Good
your-
motion.
So-
Did anybody second that?
Yes, Joan
Okay.
did.
So, are you clear on what we have for a motion here?
I'll take that.
So, motion and a second on that. Discussion. Mark?
Yeah, due to the clarity of tonight's meeting on all the issues we're talking about, I guess I would like to have it written in front of me as to what the motion is.
So revisit it on the next meeting?
Well, that's what I,
Clarify.
I'm just saying, you just asked Danielle, does she have everything?
That's, that,
You know, I'd like to see it in
Do
writing.
we have time to put it on?
I have nothing against Danielle, that's not the point. I'm
yes,
just saying,
correct.
No.
No, to get it on the
ballot,
Do we have-
if we wait another meeting.
We have to, we can do it before September 7th,
Okay.
correct? Or September 1st.
If you do it by September, I'll be happy.
So that's,
So we
well, I still
can,
have a motion
Yeah.
on the
So
table.
on the
so we have to vote on the motion.
28
But
meeting.
we're still under discussion.
Right.
No, I
We're
mean,
still
that's
under
our
discussion.
meeting.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I will not have my ballot submitted at that time, so.
Okay.
But we still
So
have to
that's-
vote on
We
this.
still have to vote on this
Right.
motion. I have a motion on the table.
Well, I guess I'd agree with Counselor Gahn. I'd like to see it in writing as well, so I'll be voting no.
Here we go. Bagley,
No.
Boma,
Aye.
Gahn,
no,
Morrow,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie,
Aye.
no. Motion carries.
So I'm confused, what are we doing now?
We
I mean,
just-
are we,
We just voted on the motion.
we're just putting it on as is?
No.
Are we bringing it,
With the change for November ballot.
Just this.
And that's the reason, and I will clarify my reason for voting no on that, because of the November, putting that in November, but we plenty of discussion on that. And motion was successful. So let's move ahead to the financials. We have Carl here, our finance director. And these are going to be on pages 15 to 33 in our packet. You can follow along.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilors, and Manager. Looking on page 15, finances for the month ending June 30th, 2023. Total assets, $8,284,580.37. Cash on hand, $3,751,407.92. 2023 tax receivables, we collected $50,860.33 for the month of June. Total prepayments for 2023 tax commitment is $319,984.66. Next page, towards the bottom, the total liabilities for the month, $5,830,687.72. Moving over to page 19, the fund balance ending June 30th, was $2,453,892.65. Moving over to the expenditures on page 22. Total expenditures for the month of June, we were at $826,233.46. Current budget, we're at 39.71%, leaving us 10.3% under budget year-to-date. If you'll notice right above that, the capital improvements, as soon as we set the commitment, those expenditures be expensed, which would probably make the total expenditures right around 50% for the year. Moving over to page 27, the revenues for the month. Currently, we were at $497,302.68. And again, we're only at 28% of the budget, but once commitment hits, we'll be closer to the budgeted figure. Side notes on revenue, the excise for the month, we're at $181,519.46. Year-to-date, we're about $70,000 over compared to last year, and we're about 4% higher than budget. Revenue sharing came in at $186,061.22 for June. The year-to-date total was at $1,012,462.42. It's about 2% higher than the budget, or $37,000, so we're holding the line there. And with the June report, we have the investment report, which is on page 32. I just wanted to point out that all of our checking with Machias has been moved up to 3% on all those accounts. And we did lock in the $1.5 million for a 5-year CD at 4.35%. That's all I had, unless anyone had some questions.
Anybody from council have questions for our finance director? Please be brief.
Mr. Grant, that 4.35% was what you got for your CD? Is that
Yeah.
right? That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
5-year CD, yep.
5 years, 4.35.
That's good.
Thank you.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Thank you again for highlighting.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it does.
That's good.
It
It really helps.
is really nice. I don't know whose idea it was, but it was a good one.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Let's like to accept the discussion. Bagley,
Aye.
Boma,
Aye.
Goen,
Aye.
Morrow,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. There we go. And let's go to 8D, tax acquired property at 375 Belanger Road, legal update, and Penny can lead us along on this.
Right, so at the May 2023 meeting, our then CEO, Ken Murchison, brought up properties for the city council to consider dangerous buildings. He stated that the property at 375 Belanger Road is tax acquired and suggested that an eviction process be started. This past week, we were informed that the occupants are working with Mr. Dyer from Pine Tree Legal Assistance, and they claim that the city failed to strictly follow the statutory procedures for automatic foreclosure. So I'm just asking if the city council wants to continue to, if it's worth the expense to keep fighting this in court.
I just want to throw one thing. We own the property, correct? We
It
are.
has,
we are the-
it's, as far as we are concerned, it is tax acquired property.
We own it.
So why are we talking about an eviction versus a trespass situation?
Thank you.
Because you're squatters.
So right, so you get them out by prosecuting as a trespass, not an eviction. There was never any lease between the city and these occupants. City owns the property, right?
It's tax acquired property as far as we're concerned, yes. So Mr. Dyer is claiming that it is not tax acquired property. Because there was, and I sent you the letter that he sent to Attorney Solomon, who sent it to me, that
So the
Mr. Dyer-
943 wasn't
Yes, that
up
it
to
was
snuff.
off the dates were off, and so they are, contesting that it's taxable.
Well, when they were off by a few days, how many is a few days? 1, 2, 20?
Yeah, the police car, please.
So I did bring the lien to the registry on the 22nd. That was COVID year, and we weren't able to go to the register. So I just dropped it off, and they told me that they would be processed when they got processed, and that was Memorial Day weekend, and it got processed the following Tuesday. I did bring it on the 22nd. So that being said, I think the 30-day notice prior to lien is what would stand up in court. So there are missed dates on there, but that is the reason why, is basically the COVID situation. I usually stay there and have them recorded as I'm watching them, but with COVID, I could not stay there. I only was able to drop off the package.
You talking about the 943?
Note the lien.
Oh,
'Cause the
who did the
lien-
943?
Well, the 943 would have been in the 30-day 45 window if you used the 22nd.
Who
Not
did the
the
943?
It's not my name on it, but my staff did.
Okay, all right.
Yep. But the 30-day notice to lien is what the court would go by, I believe.
Just my quick opinion on this, I don't know if this is gonna require a motion or just a consensus, but we just keep moving forward in the process we're at and see where it comes out. We own the property. We need
And
to,
another point I'd like to make, the next year was lien as well, so it's got technically two liens on it.
Mhm.
The second year was done properly, so it technically is automatically foreclosed on the second year.
Mhm. But, going along-
Well,
I'm going along with Dan's
I'm a
thoughts
little
here on
bit
this.
concerned about the 943 being, the discrepancies in that, but, I mean, if our attorney thinks that that will prevail in court, those minor departures, then I absolutely agree. I think the burden's on this attorney to prove that the process wasn't followed correctly, and what I see is the process was followed correctly. And I'm not really about shrinking away from an attorney who just wants to intimidate us into stopping the process, so let's go forward.
So what, make a motion? Is that, we'll consider that a motion?
I don't think we need a motion.
No, we don't, this will.
Well, then, fine.
Just
on.
We don't need a vote.
It's just
Okay.
it's just an update.
Is there a consensus? Are you happy with the consensus, Penny, to
Yeah,
go forward?
I just
Do you need a
want
vote?
you to know what's
Okay.
going on, that's all.
I don't see any objections. so.
Can't see Courtney.
Courtney?
Courtney jumping up and down?
Courtney,
Oh,
Yeah, I
can't see her.
sorry.
She's
I
hiding.
minimized that when we were going through the
So let's
financials
get some
there.
good news here on the manager's report. Benny, brighten us up.
That is an impossible task, but thanks for that.
Sure it is.
So Riverfront Power Plants, we have a CERCLA action pending. We know who the project manager will be, but not the scope of work or a start time. The Yukon Tab team was here on July 12th to see the project site. The Brownfields Conference is August 7th through the 11th in Detroit. And the RFP for our qualified environmental professional is now active on our website. The broadband initiative, I did check in before I prepared this report, and Charter, I heard back from Charter, Spectrum, and also the Maine Broadband Connectivity Authority, and they're still negotiating their contract. The Community Development Block Grant, the closeout paperwork on the Caribou Area Ride Service has been submitted. The state has asked for some additional information. This was a grant from pre-COVID time that got extended because of COVID. The Ogren Road, the Ogren Dump Solar Project, we toured this project with the Maine DEP on July 11th, and we're looking for that report soon. This solar project was built over the old dump, so they were looking for areas of ponding. They were looking that everything was cut the way it's supposed to be up there. It was actually quite interesting. Events and marketing, Caribou Cares About Kids, July 27th through the 30th. All events will be held at the Wellness Center. Land Bank, Councilor Bagley has been looking into Land Bank and is sharing ideas with the Caribou Economic Growth Council. The Federal American Rescue Plan Act, we have our agreement with Aroostook County on tonight's agenda. The blight cleanup, dangerous buildings were also on tonight's agenda. The Bird's Eye cleanup, staff has been spending a great deal of time and effort into researching what has been done and if we can get the needed letters from DEP on the Bird's Eye site. Caribou Development Committee will be meeting on the 26th. The Riverfront Master Plan, we're still waiting to hear on the Northern Border Regional Commission grant application. The Economic Growth Council met on June 29th and discussed accounts that are in trouble, and they'll be talking about Land Bank at the next meeting. So for business outreach, we did, since the last meeting, send out newsletters to Caribou businesses, and it's available on the Economic Development Department page on the website. The Nylander, you've accepted their bylaws. They have elected officers and are moving forward to do great things in the community. The fire station renovations, the congressionally directed spending requests cleared another hurdle this week. Our request has been approved by the Senate Appropriations Committee, but of course it still has to go through the full budget, and we'll be waiting to hear about that too. Artifacts will be here next week. That's the update on the police station. The trailer park closure is set for July 27th, 2023. We are actually in touch with all of the tenants at this point. For a while, we had one that we were not able to contact, but we have reached him. At the airport, the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, which is a requirement for federal funding, has been finalized and posted on the airport department page. The comp plan update, the recreation work session was held on Thursday, July 20th at the Wellness Center. It was a great turnout, and the contract with NMDC is on tonight's agenda. 15 Prospect Street, I did meet with Attorney Solomon on July 12th, and this is making its way through the court system. Age Friendly, there's no July meeting, but they did have a meeting on June 27th. Among other things, they've been working at the community garden and have other things going on. Aroostook Waste Solution, the construction of cells 5 and 6 are underway, but they have been delayed due to weather. And the 5-year update to the main materials management plan is also underway. At Cary Medical Center, they're planning for their 100th anniversary in 2024. If you have any old photos, memorabilia, or stories, please reach out to Bill Flagg. And for Caribou Cares About Kids, we need 3 parade judges. The parade is Saturday at 5:30. Councilor Morrill said he would be available. Is anyone else available to be judges? We had 3 counselors last year for judges. You don't have to tell me now, you can get back to me. Does anybody have any questions?
Penny, in regard to Caribou Economic Growth Council, there's a note may discuss accounts in trouble. What exactly does that mean?
Well, like, for example, the Bickfords, who have 7 Water Street.
Okay,
So they owed money to CEGC.
okay.
So we discussed that, and there are some others that, you know, we had to discuss.
fine,
Which,
yeah.
you know,
Just didn't know what it meant.
yeah. And trying to find solutions to those
Yeah.
issues, yeah. Did you have your hand up?
Oh, Mark, go ahead, please.
Trailer park closure. I just want to give a shout out. Oh, boy, we've been talking about that trailer park for generations. And about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, a council said, let's shut her down. And you look at the demographics of it, the people that were there, the economic situations that people have in life, it had the potential to be very controversial. But if we're gonna clean up blight, a city-owned trailer park shouldn't be top on the list of blight projects, and we went ahead with it. And it went forward with the idea that we were gonna do everything we possibly could to help anybody that was up there. And I think between Dennis Marker and Ken Murchison, you, and the staff of housing people have done an excellent job in going step by step. Granted, it's 3.5, 4 years later. We're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, but it was done with, I thought, compassion. It was done with thoughtfulness. I envision the trailer park to continue, keep working, but I envision that at some point, when it becomes empty, that Gary will go up, Gary Markey will go up, spread some grass seed around, mow it for a couple of years, and at which time we will then, I would hope, the council would then look at possible uses for that land. At that time, when it's done, and that the options will be open for anyone to present projects if they so choose. So I want to send out a shout out to how this was handled. I thought it was done very, very well. But it also brings up a point. You go the extra mile, and we can complain about certain pieces of property that we want torn down, that we want this done, we want that done. It's almost as if the other side has more rights than the citizens have.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's how it's designed. You go the extra mile. You stay the course, you be polite, you be helpful to everybody, but you stay the course. Government, and I'm saying this because of things that are going to come up. Government wasn't designed to move fast. Matter of fact, if government's moving fast, that's when you want to slow down and take a look. What's going on? So this is an example of a good shout out to you and the staff and Dennis Marker. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for recognizing that. Danielle helped people with general assistance. Lisa Plord and Sue Willette in the housing office. They've done a lot over the last few years to get people in a better housing situation.
And the council at the time that voted to shut it down, after generations of forestalling on it, made that very clear. And I thought the orders were taken very seriously. Yeah, I thought they were taken, did a good job.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mark? No. Anybody else have any questions on the minister's report before we move to the next item? So we got 9A, we have the pilot, Turbo Solar LLC, 46 Dow Siding Road, 3740, and I guess I didn't read up on this.
Well, I mean, I
Particular-
can help you with that.
Yeah,
So,
I did.
solar assets, when we first had the first solar array in Caribou, it was actually taxable. And since that time, the lobby for solar has become very powerful. And because of that, it's now exempt. So if you have these solar assets, they have what Maine calls the renewable energy exemption. And someone with a solar asset, they only need to apply one time. And it's up to assessing staff to go every year to make sure that that asset is still there. And we have to value those assets, and we submit for reimbursement on our municipal valuation return. So by statute, they have to reimburse us for half of the lost revenue that we would have had if it was a taxable asset. Which you may say, oh, okay, so we're getting half the money back. Not quite, because you actually have to, the way it works is they would add in the value, and whatever your mill rate would have been, that's the mill rate they reimburse you on. So it's not quite 50%. I learned that the first year. Then they had to address what happens when a solar asset is in place or mostly in place on April 1, but it isn't generating, because it's only exempt under renewable energy if it's generating. So it was decided that someone with a solar asset could apply for the business equipment tax exemption program.
Quite a
So
deal.
it's still
Quite a deal.
exempt.
Yeah, quite a deal.
Correct. So this year, we actually have 2 solar assets that were not generating on April 1, which is why our Betty exemption is so much higher this year, is because we have 2 solar assets, which we will not have those next year. They will be in the renewable energy exemption. So, we would know them as NG. That's who their permit was issued to, but they call themselves Caribou Solar LLC, which is not to be confused with the other places that we have called like Caribou Solar in town. They have offered to pay a payment in lieu of taxes for their installation at 46 Dow Siding Road, knowing that we'll be getting some compensation this year through the business equipment tax exemption program, but next year when it starts on the renewable energy exemption. So the other part of that is with these solar assets, I mean, I know this all is very, very obtuse, but these are the things that, you know, your city staff deals with on a daily basis. So the other part of that is the Maine legislature has also determined that
Just recently, something changed.
Yes, so any solar installations that started construction after October 1, 2021 are required to have a decommissioning plan on file, and it has to be accepted. Now, this particular installation was started in September of 2021. So my recommendation is that the money that we receive from the pilot, that we should put in a reserve account in case when this solar is no longer functioning, and if Caribou Solar LLC doesn't clean up the mess, there is some money there to take care of that. I'm not saying that you have to do that. That would just be my suggestion. We are starting to get a lot of inquiries as people are starting to wonder, and they're driving by these different solar arrays, and they're wondering what's going to happen when they have reached their life span and they become abandoned. I don't think we have to worry so much about people, you know, that are here that own them, you know, because they, you know, they're on land that they own and that they have to drive by every day. But, you know, for a company that's, I think we send the tax bill, if we generated one, which of course we don't, but we still have an address, would be like, I think it's Chicago, Illinois, where this one goes.
Didn't we have an agreement with, when we did the one out here on the Ogren Road, that there was money, that they had put money aside for the potential of that cleanup?
That is my understanding.
I
That
believe
was-
so, yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm
it's
just- I can't remember the
interesting because
details,
when
but-
we were there, I said, well, I've got to find that original contract, because of course that was, sat in the audience as a department head listening to that and not thinking there would be a quiz later, so I wasn't paying as close attention. But I think it's something that the council really has to think about, and
We discussed it at that time, and there was so much money that they would put aside each year, which, if I remember correctly, the amounts, it was $100,000 or $200,000 or whatever that amount was to clean it up at the end. They didn't have to put it all up front.
so much.
They had to
or a
put so much per
bond,
year,
yeah.
so at the 20-year or 15-year point, that money would be there, and I think there were some questions about that in the contract as well.
So this is something that I've been trying to track down, like of the solar projects that we have in town, who has decommissioning plans, who, like the Ogren Road, because again, I was physically on site on that one. What our agreement was with them, that's been quite a long time ago. Just so we kind of know where we are, because again, we're starting, I don't know about you, but I have been getting questions about that, so I've been trying to track it down. Information is slowly trickling in. Some of it ends up, I found actually an email in my junk mail over the weekend from someone responding to my request for information on that.
So basically, this agreement that we have in front of us, we have to accept that. This is like what's being proposed.
They're offering you a payment in lieu of taxes,
Right.
which they're not subject to tax.
Right.
I'm just saying, when this starts next year, and you don't have to decide this today, because you're not gonna get any money till next year.
Yeah, okay.
But I just want you to be aware that maybe
Set the money
over
aside.
the next year, think about
Yeah.
that, so that when I bring it up again next year,
Yeah.
you know, it's not, well, why didn't we talk about this before? I want to talk about it so that it's something people can think about, because this will not actually go into effect until next year, because they won't be generating power until next year's tax year, because it's whatever the situs of the property is on April 1. So April 1 of this year, they weren't generating.
So this doesn't require action tonight? We can consider this.
Well,
just
what I'm asking for is your authorization to execute this agreement for the payment in lieu of taxes.
So moved.
It's not for, it's just for next year, but they're, asking me if we're gonna sign it and be expecting them to pay, for them to pay us the money starting next
So
year.
a formal motion would be accepted, I guess, Council.
I move that we authorize City Manager Penny Thompson to execute the pilot agreement with NG and place any proceeds into a reserve account.
Second.
Motion is second. Do we have discussion on this?
I do have a question, just one question, really. What benefit is it to NG to do this? Why are they doing this?
I guess they just wanna be good neighbors.
They want to be, yeah.
They wanna be that guy.
So nobody's compelling them to do this?
No.
They're offering this right up. So why do they need a contract?
Good paper makes good friends.
I guess.
What are we obligating ourselves to?
Taking their money,
Pretty good deal.
That's a good deal. At least it'll be formal.
I move
Just
it.
wanted to be sure.
I'd send it to the city
I'll second
attorney
that.
to look over, and I don't think, Rick, you didn't see anything strange in it,
Yeah.
I know that I have brought you some bewildering things.
This was
Yeah.
this one was bewildering.
Yeah,
because that's, as I was reading through it, that's all. It's the only thing that was in my head. Why would they do this? For just free money?
Free money's good, Dan, don't knock it.
No, I'm not. Thank you.
Motion seconded.
Motion, more discussion. Bagley,
Aye.
Bowman,
Aye.
Gone,
Aye.
Morrow,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So we have a formal consensus. Member service agreement with NMDC for 2024.
We also have the
The
MMA
ma-
Oh, no,
annual
I skipped it.
election
We
ballot.
skipped
41 to 40.
MMA.
We have the MMA annual election ballot, which is...
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to please accept the support the candidates proposed by the MMA nominating committee and either authorize or delegate City Manager Penny Thompson to sign the ballot or circulate and sign after the meeting.
Second.
Discussion. Bagley,
Aye.
Bowman,
Aye.
Gone,
No.
Morrow,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now we can go to the
You don't
9C,
like
the
MMA,
member
do you?
services agreement with NMDC for the 2024 comprehensive plan, and that is on page 4752 in our packet. We have some suggested action. What is the wish of the council?
I had a couple of questions, Mr. Mayor, if I
Go
may.
right ahead, yes, right ahead.
Several places through this contract, they mention NMDC staff as the performing function, but they don't really name who on the staff or even labor categories. Are we going to get a senior person? Or are we going to get a couple of junior people? What,
So we
is that kind of
did,
general?
so we did receive like the full information from them, which I think I've sent it before, but I can send it again. We received that when our former code enforcement officer, Kim Murchison, was still here. And it will be Jay Cam that we'll be working with, and John
So you've received a
Zellerhoff.
staffing plan, you have that,
Yeah.
and you're happy with it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've met with Jay Cam, and Karen Gorman's met with Jay Cam, and we've, come up with what I think is a good plan to get everything
And they came up with a
accomplished.
price of 20,000. Was that based on a number of labor hours and rates, or was that just a project that we're gonna work until we run out of $20,000?
No, so and I'm gonna make myself a note to resend that, because it was sent a few months ago. It had to do with the number of hours, the number of hours over 12 months. So this, originally, we would have started like July 1 to June 30th.
Just as long as you're happy with the
Yeah.
detail they provided.
And originally,
Okay.
I think they came with a price of $37,000,
Yeah.
and so then we worked about ways that the city could save some money by doing some of its own work with that, and that's how we got to the 20,000.
And finally, why are they asking for a 20% deposit?
I guess I didn't ask why they were
Do
requiring
they need to
it.
go and buy materials, or
I
hire new
don't-
people,
I don't-
or why do
I
they
don't-
need a deposit? Anyway.
Probably
those-
afraid
those-
we won't pay.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Those
Like,
are
if
the
we have a
kind of some
contract,
things.
I
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to authorize City Manager Penny Thompson to sign the agreement with NMDC for the work on the 2024 comprehensive plan.
Second?
Discussion. Bagley,
Aye.
Boma,
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morrow,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 9D, we get down here at the end. 2023 American Rescue Plan Act Grant Award from Aroostook County. $100,349. And that is on in our packet.
53.
53, I believe, so.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept and sign the agreement with Aroostook County for the grant funding in the amount of $100,349.
Second.
Motion second, discussion.
Mr. Mayor, one question.
Go ahead.
It's stated that the city council's put funding in a reserve account. Where is this? And how much money is in that reserve account? Which reserve account are you talking about?
So it's in several, and some of it is tied up in our capital for this year with turnout gear. There are funds in a reserve account for the body worn camera system. And then we will also be using some of our non-entitlement unit funding, ARPA funding that we have too.
So it's spread out in different accounts
Yeah.
we'll draw from, but we have
Yeah.
the money.
We have the money.
Okay. Thank you.
Other discussion? Bagley,
Aye.
Boma,
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morrow,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. So the motion carries unanimously. So now we got the 9E, we have the resolution 7-2 establishing the property tax rates and related deadlines of 60 to 66 in our packet. So page 60, this is going to require, we have some suggested actions here. It's going to require, this depends on council. Suggested action 1, and suggested action 2. The wishes of council.
Tell me the page number. I'm looking for the page.
Page
number.
60, I believe you are.
Yep, okay. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we move to rescind the motion relating to the setting of the 2023 tax rate at 18.55, which was adopted at the July 10th, 2023 council meeting. And let's see, do you want to do number two?
We need a second on that.
Yep, second.
Discussion on the suggested, or on the motion.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think that 18.55 resulted in a 10% average tax increase, across the board, which I thought was acceptable, and that's why I voted for it. Changing it now to 20.0 will result in doubling that average tax increase to 20%, and I cannot support that. So I think we can do better than that, and I'd like to go back to looking at the expense budget again and looking for savings to make up that difference.
Other discussion on this particular motion? Bagley?
No.
Boma?
Aye.
Gone?
No.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to rescind the motion relating to items 2 through 7 on resolution July 1st, 2023, which was adopted at the July 10th city council meeting.
Second. Discussion. Bagley?
Aye.
Boma?
Aye.
Gone?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I gotta get to page 60, or 60, 61 now. So, the next order of business would be make a new motion for resolution 7 to 23. Chair could entertain a motion just to move that resolution, I believe, or we could do it
So I
individually.
need a motion to reduce the capital budget by 87,000, which is not really a capital project, it's a debt project.
Which one's that? Okay.
It's under suggested action
Right.
number
Oh, hold on.
3.
We're on page, which page are we on?
62.
62.
Oh, that's on 62, excuse me. So that would be the next. Okay, excuse me, okay. Suggested action number 3.
I move to reduce the 2023 capital budget by 87,000 in account number G1-373-50 from 173,500 to 86,500. Money was appropriated for 12 months of payment on a loan approved last year to make repairs on the municipal building and other capital projects. The loan was not taken out until June, so there will only be 6 payments. The monthly payment amount is $14,277.32.
Second?
Discussion? Bagley?
Aye.
Boma?
Aye.
Gone?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Suggested action number 4.
Motion, I make a motion to set the 2023 tax rate at .02000 or 20 point mils.
Second.
Discussion? Mark?
Yes, I'd like to amend the motion. I'd like to transfer the 100, I'm just gonna use rough numbers. The $191,000 that's in the tax.
That line.
relief
Okay, yep. Mhm.
And transfer those into this year, which would reduce this by roughly 2/3 of a mil. Well, third, half a mil. So my motion is
Well,
to
we have one motion now.
We've got a-
I'm amending it.
Who made the initial motion?
I made the initial motion, so I'm the one that, I can rescind that and,
No, I'm amending it. It doesn't require her permission.
Yeah, but she made an initial motion. Are you making another motion?
No, he's amending it.
I'm
In other words,
amending the motion.
adding to it.
Okay, that's fine. No, I'm agreeable to it, just as long as we have the
But
process.
are you changing the proposed mill rate in your amendment?
I will.
Yeah.
But let's see if it passes. I mean, we haven't voted on the mill rate yet.
So
I'm
that'll-
making
But
an
it's in
amendment
here.
to transfer those funds.
I'm sorry, that's not clear. I got that part,
Yeah, that's.
but the motion on the table is to set the mill
To
rate.
set the mill rate, so.
Yes.
So would that have to be a motion prior to the motion setting the mill rate?
Yes.
So do we take your motion off the floor?
Will you rescind your motion?
this
Folks, it's an
motion,
amendment.
An amendment to
It's
her
an
motion?
amendment. Yeah,
I never heard of
it's
that.
an
I
amendment.
don't
But it's
believe
going
we
to
could've-
change the mill rate that we vote on. It'll
Okay.
change that
And I
number,
said that.
But we don't have the number,
but we don't know the number.
so we can't vote on the mill rate that we don't have a number to.
Well, it takes a minute to figure it out.
She has a motion.
Right.
You can't amend her motion. She is willing to rescind that motion and allow you to make your motion. Is that,
I'd like
okay?
to make a motion.
Have you rescinded your motion?
Not yet,
Okay, that's a,
but I will. I'll rescind, and you have to rescind your
Go ahead.
second.
okay, so we,
I'll rescind my motion and
And I will,
to, yeah,
okay, so then we're,
And I will
now
take-
Mark has the floor
Take
to
the
make a
second.
motion to, what's your motion? Is to-
Transfer the funds out of the tax reserve list. Tax,
Right.
whatever the official name of that is, and transfer those as the title of that
line.
line
Yep.
item stated.
Which is what, a
Property
remind,
tax relief.
441 or whatever it
Apply
is.
it to this year's budget.
I will second that motion. And that is under the car rate. Can you show us which one that's under real quick?
I believe it's page 5, resource reserve account, 188,540.10.
188,
540.10.
So we have a motion. I will second that motion that we remove that money from that reserve account to offset the expense budget for the year. I believe that's how he stated it, or how he wants it proposed. And discussion on this? Bagley?
Aye.
Boma?
Aye.
Gone?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Me? Aye. Okay, so
Okay, but now we don't.
now we
Now
need to
I
set
got
a.
Now we have to,
Well, it's going to be $500,000.
well, we need to, the
Close.
exact number.
No, no, right.
Be, yeah,
We
just
could
about.
set it at 19.5 and have a stable rate or something like that. I mean, it doesn't, it's at least half a mil.
I don't know, like, I have a lot of other, like, things that would have to do. I mean,
Right.
I don't have them on this computer, which I basically use for Zoom meetings and stuff. I have it upstairs.
What's the,
But
188.
I can,
What would the, so.
because it affects everything.
Right,
So
homestead
it
exemption,
affects,
yeah,
yes, so
all
it
that.
affects all of that stuff. It affects the TIF too,
Mhm.
and I don't think I have that in here either.
So suggest-
I don't have it saved on the P drive, which, I should have.
Are we?
So we have to wait on.
But,
the vote
I
for the
mean-
We
mill
don't
rate.
have to, we can set the mill if we're comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with saying a 19.5, because I'm comfortable that's a half a mil. It keeps the mill rate stable.
I'm not comfortable with setting a mill rate unless we have all the numbers,
Have everything set.
yeah.
Well, then-
So, Mr. Mayor,
In August, then.
so Penny, how long will it take you to gather that information, to finalize that information based on Counselor Gahn's recommendation or motion?
I mean, if you want to finish the meeting, if you want to meet, if you want to have your executive session, I mean, I can have it done before
That
that's
quickly, I mean, or
over.
is
I
it?
mean, because you're not changing values.
Right.
It's just, I have to go
Yes.
save, like, spreadsheets I have on the computer upstairs, on a drive, bring it down here, and,
That's how mistakes happen. Let's take our time and get this done and make sure the numbers are right and vetted.
Well, we don't have to do it.
I don't want to be making a decision.
Can we, I mean, I don't know what, how you
3
guys,
hours
I'd like,
into a
I'd
meeting.
like to have her have at least, I mean, I'm sure she's tired, but at least tomorrow, and have even if it's a special meeting where we sit down for 15 minutes, I'll come in and do it, or
That's-
Zoom in or
that's fine.
something.
Okay, I am agreeable to it.
How's
Thank
that?
you.
I mean,
Thank
Let's
you.
just,
That's fine.
yes, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
This is-
We don't have to rush this
Right.
tonight,
No, we don't have to.
Right.
Unless it's in the
because there are other
morning.
changes that I'd like to
Unless it's in the
propose
morning.
that we look at, so.
well, you should tell, you should bring them up now.
Well, I
Right.
can do it.
Wow.
This is
So that,
crazy.
so that's passed, so suggest,
That's crazy.
action number
It's gonna
5,
work out
we can't do that.
19,
Nope.
50.
So-
Because of mill rate, so that's gonna,
Keep putting
So,
those-
all the
we'll
rest
wait
of
for
that-
Penny to, and I'll let the council
He
know.
said, when I
When she gets that
suggested it
information,
on
we'll
email
plan a
2
meeting.
days
And
ago.
basically, our meeting will be,
He said, move it along.
it'll be the first,
Whatever,
Well, whenever people can meet. I
Right.
mean, I set the Board of Assessors meeting for Wednesday, but I can reach out to them and tell them we won't meet Wednesday, we'll meet a different day.
Can I
Wow.
ask a question on that? So these tax adjustments that we've heard about and we've looked at and analyzed, those have not been approved by the Board of Assessors yet?
Are you talking about the methodology for establishing new values?
Yes, and the results of that methodology.
Correct. I mean, they've been sent memos, but they haven't met.
Shouldn't that happen before we vote on a mill rate that's based on those adjustments?
I mean, we can, if you don't meet until after Wednesday, we can have our meeting on Wednesday and,
let's set the meeting date right now, while
Okay.
we're all sitting here, so we don't have to chase this down. I mean, in a time frame that gives you ample time. I mean,
Yep.
our regular meeting would have normally been on, what, the 14th? That we canceled?
yep. I mean,
Yes.
just keep in mind that like the week before that is when I'm at the Brownfields conference. So
Right.
we can't have an agenda meeting or anything, but if this is the only thing on the
This is the
agenda,
only
Right.
thing on
I
there.
can get the agenda done before I leave for
I
that.
just want to do it right now while we're all sitting here, so we don't chase it down later. Does anybody have an obligation on the 14th for the special meeting with us? Or-
There goes our vacation.
I know, it's-
I'm
we-
kidding, it doesn't matter.
do it, just shut it.
Okay.
14th 's fine.
14th
you.
is good.
Okay,
This
so
is- this
is
is
that
all that's gonna be on the agenda.
is that the only thing that you want to
Correct, yes.
change is this $188,540.10?
We're gonna
Is there-
need to-
Is there anything else?
No, we're gonna need to set the mill rate, and we'll have to do basically suggestion action number 5. Those would be
Yep.
the 2 things on there.
So-
The resolution.
Mr. Mayor, as I've kind of hinted before, I really think that we need to go back to the expense budget and look for savings there. We haven't made a serious effort to do that. I went through the numbers and looking at across the entire budget, I went down through and looked at those items that were proposed significantly above what was spent last year. And just as a standard process, I cut those all back to like 15% increase. I found $334,000 just in doing that. I think we can do better. I think we can find 300K, and I think we can get a mill off this mill rate. I urge the council to do this. 20% across the board is unacceptable. And if you look at the spread, it goes from 20 to 80. A big cluster in 30 to 50. That's huge. And I don't think we've done all that we can do to ease that burden on the taxpayers. Thank you.
So, that item, we've set the meeting for the next, and the agenda's been set as well, as far as I'm concerned. I know you're gonna be out of town, so.
Yeah.
You good with that, Courtney?
Yes.
Thank you. Old business, don't have any. We have reports and discussion by mayor and council members. I'll start with you, Courtney. What do you have to, anything for us?
The only thing I want to mention, and it's been brought up to me by a couple of citizens, is the impending rat problem. It seems like it's getting worse. More rats are being sighted in
What problem?
the city
Rats.
itself, and it's something we need to take a look at.
Okay, Dan?
Nothing more, thanks.
Good. Joan?
No.
Lou?
I'm good.
Mark?
No, thank you.
Okay, and I'll just update our next regular meeting, which will now be the 14th.
So
We can
that
add
the
that.
tax
I guess
bills
it's gonna be
can't go
considered a
up.
special
The
meeting now.
tax bills can't go up.
Correct.
Since
however-
you've already, because you, so since it's been canceled, then it's now a special meeting. I just want to make sure I have that correct.
So you can get that agenda out. I don't plan to put anything else out. And with that, I'm going to, we have the 13 executive session. I believe we have something on the agenda for that. So Chair will
Make a motion to adjourn? Or
Go into executive.
we gotta
session.
go in executive session?
under, which one is this going to be under?
Lawyer consultation.
Legal counsel pursuant to MRSA
SA Title I.
405.6.
Mark, okay. All right.
Aye. Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, yeah.
So are we gonna take 5?
That's just, yeah, whatever. Take 5 minutes, whatever.
2 minutes.
Let everybody get cleared out.
Just to get up.
Make sure your microphones are off, folks.
Move around a little bit.
89
I have heard that the planning board wants to pick up.
Yeah.
See ya.